Good morning, church family. Come on, it is good to be in the house of the Lord. And we're so excited what God is doing here today. And before I jump in the message, I want to give you a snapshot of what's coming up. I feel like as a pastor, one of my responsibilities is not only to preach, but also to help shepherd you through different seasons of the year. And such a special season, this holiday season, I want you to be aware of everything that we're doing, including a brand new series starting next Sunday called Making Room. And it's our Christmas series, and it's something you don't want to miss. It's something that's easy to invite friends to, family to, as we go through the Christmas story together. And then we do have that encounter night, the last one of the year. That's our first Wednesday service that's happening December 4th. Baptisms, communion, worship, prayer. You don't want to miss that. And then in 2 weeks, Sunday, December 8th, is our Above and Beyond Offering Sunday. And what that is, it's our special once-a-year offering to go above your tithes and offerings for us to come together and make an eternal impact in the lives of many people. It's something that Sunday, listen, we're going to talk about it now, but that Sunday there's not going to be tears and puppies and babies, okay? There's no hard sell or push. We're just making you aware of it now, but it's a chance to propel the vision of the church and make a difference in a lot of places. And I think back last year at this time of things that we dreamt of and what we could do. We talked about the playground for Echo Learning Academy. That playground is now done because of your generosity. Come on, how cool is that? That's for Echo Kids. That's for our Learning Academy. Not just one playground, but 2 age-appropriate play areas with the rubber mulch and a fence around it. And there's still a few things we want to do with some sunshades, but that's completed because of your generosity. And this time last year, we also talked about what could be of a cafe, right? Because before then, you would go in that, and there's really no reason to be in that corner of our church building. There wasn't a lot happening. But since August, we have a cafe now, everybody, and it looks amazing. And it's great coffee. But the tagline there is to enjoy a sip, but also make a splash. And what that means is that every dollar of proceeds that come from that cafe are redirected fully into local mission opportunities. And that is something incredible. So we're just blessed by what God has been doing, not only through those 2 initiatives, but this year we learned that we needed to replace the roof of 2/3 of our property. So we have 50,000 square feet here. And that project typically would be over $300,000. But through the kindness of the Lord and through the benevolence of a local contractor, we were able to get that roof done for $170,000. That's incredible. Praise God. But at the same time, $170,000 is still a ton of money, right? And I want you to know, we didn't have to do a special campaign or a special fundraiser. We were able to do that project completely debt-free, and we have a new roof, everybody. Come on, we're excited about that. Nobody gets really excited until you realize, hey, man, we're not going to get wet. So that's a great thing. But we do this offering because we know there's something special about this time of year, that people's hearts are just more receptive to Jesus, to the good news. So our giving mall is happening on December 7th. And because of your generosity, that's fully funded. We're so excited. Over 100 families will come here and they'll experience the kindness of this church and the kindness of the Lord, and they'll be able to get their gifts and hear the gospel message. But we know that as we minister to these families, that there will be more needs that arise that we could help with. So we're positioning ourselves with this offering to say, man, what could happen? What more could we do? Even with our local ministry partners that we've supported financially and through service all year, we're thinking, what more could we do by the end of the year to bless and go above and beyond what we've normally done? This is also an opportunity to accelerate the retirement of debt on this property, just to put us in even a healthier position as a church, that as we grow, whatever opportunities come our way, we'll be positioned in a way to be able to say yes to those things. So again, on Above and Beyond Offering Sunday, we're mentioning it to you now so you could pray about it. And that's all we're asking you to do, is to pray about it and ask God what you should do, and then just do what he says, okay, everybody? So that's Above and Beyond. Then Christmas Eve services are happening. We have 2 different days, 4 different services. Monday, 12/23 at 4:30 and 6 p.m., and then on Christmas Eve at 3 and 4:30 p.m. You'll see a lot more information about that, but we wanted to get that in front of you, and we're excited, man. If you've never been a part of a Christmas Eve here, those candlelit services, those special elements, there's excitement. I mean, really, and people are looking for something to be excited about. People are looking for a way to celebrate this holiday, and we have something to celebrate, don't we? We have something to celebrate. So Christmas Eve is on its way. And then December 29th, that Sunday right after all of those Christmas Eve shenanigans, we will have 0 in-person services. It will be online only, okay? And we do that to honor the hundreds of people that help put on our Christmas Eve services, to give them that Sunday with their family, catch your breath. So we'll have a message for you. It will be online. Just watch it in your pajamas, okay? And then we'll come back together in the new year. And one last thing I want to give you is that in the new year, as our custom here for 8 years in a row, will be 21 days of prayer and fasting. January 5th through 25th. More information will come, but I tell you that now because you need time to prepare. You need time to pray and kind of decide in your heart and on your calendar if this is going to be a priority for you or not. And I hope it is. And it's something that really shifts the whole rest of your year. It's that powerful. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Okay, so, hey, wrapping up this series, we've been in More Than Enough. And it's so interesting because our culture always tells us you always need more, right? Our culture says if 1 is good, 2 is, right? If $1 is good, then 2 is. If 1 car is good, 2 cars. If 1 wife is good, 2 wives are not better. Not better, everybody. Not better, okay? Listen, this is our theme verse through this series, 2 Corinthians 9:8. It says, God can bless you with everything you need. Everything you need. Come on, God is our provider. So what do you need? Joy? He'll give it to you. Peace? He'll give it to you. Provision, he is Jehovah Jireh. He is our provider. God will give you everything you need. But watch this. And you will always have more than enough to do all kinds of good things for others. More than enough. That means God is more than capable, more than willing to not only meet your needs, but exceed those needs. But the problem is when we don't trust him. When we don't rely on him. The problem is when we live lives with clenched fists and hard hearts. So let me say it this way. Many of us don't have a more problem. We have a mindset problem. That God is more than willing, more than capable. The more is not the issue, it's the mindset. And there are 2 prevailing mindsets. There is the scarcity mindset, and there is the blessing mindset. Now, the scarcity mindset believes I am always in need. I am the need. It's always about me. I have nothing to offer. I have nothing to give. I go through life looking for what I can get, not what I can give. The blessing mindset says, I always have something to give. I'm walking into a room, I'm walking into situations, looking how I can bless other people. Listen to me, church. Even if you don't have a penny to your name, you have something to give. You have something to offer. And God wants to use you to bless the world. God wants to be generous in you so that you can be generous with your life. That's the blessing mindset. So what's your mindset? if your mindset has been one of scarcity, then you understand that you've been worrying about the future. You have fear to what's unknown, that you have control issues, and you feel like there's just never enough. I'm telling you today, it's time for a change. Albert Einstein once said, problems cannot be solved with the same mindset that created them. So if you want more of what God has for you, you must first consider your mindset. Now, our theme verse and our opening verse found in 2 Corinthians 9:8 is actually a blessing on a group of people that were previously mentioned in chapter 8. It's the Macedonian church. And what we'll see is that through their example of the blessing mindset, the blessing that came in chapter 9 is actually a result of their character and who they were from chapter 8. So let's look at chapter 8 together, starting in verse 1. And now, brothers and sisters, we want you to know about the grace. This is spiritual. This is supernatural. This is something that God has bestowed upon them. God has given the Macedonian churches this grace. And because of this grace, in the midst of very severe trials, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. Notice this. Severe trials, they still had joy. Tough circumstances, they were still known to be generous. For I testify that they gave as much as they were able, even beyond their ability, entirely on their own, no coercion. They urgently pleaded with us the privilege of sharing in the service to the Lord's people. It was a privilege to them. It wasn't something they had to do. It's something that they were able to do and got to do. And they exceeded our expectations. Here's the key. Here's the blessing mindset. They gave themselves first of all to the Lord, and then by the will of God also to us. The blessing mindset at its very core is putting your faith, putting your trust in God. It's making him the number one priority of your life and reordering the rest of your life to show that priority. It's putting God first of all. And today we're going to compare these two mindsets, that we have a choice. Which one will be ours? The scarcity mindset says, I don't have enough. And it reminds me of Haggai chapter 1. It says, you have sown much and harvested little. You eat, but you never have enough. May that not be true this week of Thanksgiving, right? When you eat, may you have enough. You drink, but you never have your fill. You clothe yourselves, but no one is warm. And he who earns wages does so to put them into a bag with holes in it. And some of you read this and think, man, this is your life verse right here. So many times you try, you earn, you scrape to get ahead, and you just can't ever get ahead. It's like there's holes in your pocket. And I think the first thing that happens with this scarcity mindset is that when we earn, we immediately spend, right? We consume it, we spend it, we use it up, we go out, right? We go on Amazon and we click that one-click buy button. Come on, that's so dangerous. One-click buy, that's all it takes, and it could be yours. We get this and that. We get the clothes. We get the latest and greatest thing, and we spend it. Right when we get it, we spend it. And because we spend it all, now we lack. Now we don't have enough. That we've spent everything that comes to us. Now we don't have enough to take care of our needs. And all of a sudden, now we fear. We fear. We think, oh my goodness, we're afraid. I don't have enough. I can't get by. And that scarcity mindset sets in, and then now it becomes a cycle. We get, then we spend, then we lack, and now we have fear. And the cycle goes on and on again. But then there's the blessing mindset that says, I have more than enough. Deuteronomy 28:8 says it this way: the Lord will send a blessing on your barns. That's your storehouse, your home, everything you have, and on everything you put your hand to. The Lord your God will bless you in the land that he is giving you. I think one of the reasons we don't feel blessed is because we've become unaware of the blessings around us. That we read Deuteronomy 28:8 and we say, man, I don't feel like my barns are blessed. I don't think everything I've put my hand to is blessed. And I think it's because we suffer from something I call blessing blindness. Blessing blindness. It's our unfortunate ability to identify things that are going in our lives as simply as a coincidence. Or we explain them away as if it were just some natural occurrence rather than acknowledging God's hand in our lives. What do we say? We say, well, that promotion wasn't really a blessing from God because I've worked hard and I've earned it. We say, well, that check that showed up out of the blue, well, that was actually something that was owed to me anyhow, and it's just mere coincidence that it showed up in the timely fashion that it did. We say, oh, that health improvement, that wasn't really a blessing from God. I was just able to find the right doctor to help me. In any of those comments that we make, we experience blessing blindness. Listen, as a family of 6, when we're on a road trip, we've introduced some games to our kids. One of the games that they love playing, they still play it, is Punch Buggy, right? You find a Volkswagen Beetle and you punch somebody gently, supposedly, and say, punch buggy, no punch back. And it's got out of hand a few times. It always ends up in tears. Like, no, I saw it first. No, that's my color. That wasn't a beetle. Like all these different things. You punch too hard. All of this happens. But before we started playing this game, on my own, I haven't really noticed that many Volkswagen Beetles. But since the kids have played all the time, I'm noticing a lot more of them. Now, are there just people loving their Volkswagen Bugs so much that there's just more of them out there and I've just missed it all along? No, it turns out that this is an actual phenomenon called frequency illusion, or Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, if you want to be technical about it. It occurs when things you've just seen, just experienced, just learned about, now you find them cropping up everywhere you go. It could be a phrase, it could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be anything. And reality is, there's really no increase of those occurrences. You've just become more aware of them. We have the incredible opportunity to experience the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon when it comes to God's blessings. That we realize that blessings are there, but when we start looking for them, we will notice them everywhere. When you start counting your blessings, they really add up. Listen, this is a great week to pause every day this week and recognize and acknowledge God's hand on your life, the blessing of the Lord in your life. I shouldn't be here today, but it's the blessing of the Lord that I'm here today. I shouldn't have had that opportunity, but it's God's kindness that gave me the opportunity anyway. I could have been dead by now, but God has me here. And by recognizing God's blessing in our lives, we better understand God's great love for us. That he's always been there, that he's never given up on you, that he's always been faithful. Let's fight against blessing blindness this week. Come on, let's take note. Let's count them up, the many blessings God has given us. Scarcity mindset says, I don't have enough. It also says, what's mine is mine. Do you remember Luke 15? The parable of the prodigal son? And after reading it, we're left thinking that prodigal means lost, because we just learned about the lost sheep and the lost coin. And undoubtedly, the son too was lost, but prodigal actually means to spend recklessly. And that's exactly what he did. In verse 12, it says, the younger son said to his father, Father, give me my share of your estate. What's he saying? What's mine is mine. He's saying, Dad, I wish you were dead, and I want what's coming to me now. This is completely disrespectful, completely dishonorable, and it's crazy that he would even proposition this. I think we get here by first believing the lie of the enemy that says if we had more, we would have a better life. Listen, money will always promise you things that only God can provide. This son was looking for security, right? He was thinking, if I get this money, I'm in control. I know what's best for me. And as you read Luke 15, you find out he loses it all. On wild living, he blows it all. The security he's looking for, not there. He was also looking for status. Oh, if I have this money, people will think I am somebody. But after it's all gone, we see that he's left all alone, and there's no one willing to help him. This son thought, man, if he had this money, he would have the satisfaction. And so many times we're lured by fake pleasure that never fully satisfies us. And if you're constantly searching for instant gratification, it gets our spiritual, our relational, our emotional, even our physical lives out of whack and out of order. And it led to this son no longer seeing himself as a son, but as a servant. See, the blessing mindset says what's mine is his. What's mine is his. The son who grabbed his inheritance, went to a foreign land, squandered and wasted it all on reckless living, ended up with nothing. So much so that now he was on a pig farm, which was a disgrace to any Jew, and he was tempted to eat the slop of the pigs, but his Bible says he came to his senses. He's like, what am I doing here? I could just go back home and I could never be a son again, but maybe I could be a servant, and at least a servant in my father's household. At least they have something to eat. At least it's a job. So on the way back home, he was reciting in his head what he would say to his father. Listen, Father, I've sinned against you. I know I can't be your son any longer, but may I come back home and be a servant. And it says that his father watched his son come up the driveway, and that he was filled with love and compassion, and he ran to his son. And the son went into his spiel. Father, I've sinned against you. I can no longer be your son. And the father cuts him off, and he says this, quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on him. Get a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet, and kill the calf. We're having barbecue tonight. We must celebrate with a feast, for the son of mine was dead, but now he's returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found. So the party began. The robe, the sandals, the ring, the calf, whose was it? It was all the father's. Remember, money will always promise what only God can provide. So the security the son was looking for, man, left him without anything. And now the father's saying, hey, no longer are you going to have shivering cold nights. You have the finest robe on your back. You have sandals on your feet. You are home here, and you are secure. The status this young man was looking for that left him thinking he could only be a servant and never a son. The father says, oh, you put my ring on your finger, an insignia of this family crest. When you wear this, you walk in the authority of a son. That satisfaction that always left him wanting more. Now it's a feast. Now it's a celebration. He gets to experience the Father's love despite his past. But remember, Luke 15 is the story of two sons. Because the older son was there the whole time doing everything that his father asked him to do, and he doesn't attend this party. He's upset. He's like, Dad, why in the world would you kill the fatted calf for him that you've never killed for me? I never got that barbecue, but he's getting it now. And he's complaining. Why throw a party for that knucklehead? I've been here the whole time, but you got to remember that this is a parable set up, 3 stories. And in Luke 15:1, you find out why Jesus shares these 3 stories. It's because the Pharisees are complaining about who Jesus was investing in. So in verse 31, the father said to his older son, look, dear son, you've always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate. Like the imperative here, I had no choice. My son who was dead is now alive. He was lost, but now he is found. Jesus is letting the Pharisees know that it's always worth the investment. It's always worth the extravagance. It's always worth the generosity. For a soul to come back home, for somebody to come from dead to life, it's always worth it. It's always worth investing in. I want to share a story of my personal net worth, if I can. Years ago, matter of fact, it was February 2008, I first signed up for a Netflix account. And in doing so, I was very interested in buying stock in the company. I had $500 to invest at the time. And I remember Netflix with get the DVD, you mail it in, But now they started the streaming content. And I remember looking at this thinking, this seems like to be the future of entertainment. At that time, February 2008, Netflix shares were around $3 each. As of Friday, each of those $3 shares are now worth $900. That's huge, everybody. That's life-changing. Do you want to know how many shares I bought back then? 0. Ouch! Instead of buying Netflix stock, I did invest elsewhere. My brother-in-law told me about a penny stock. I invested $500 in this penny stock. I knew it would explode. Do you want to know how much that penny stock is worth today? 0. Double ouch. I had you go in there for a minute. It's hard to look back at that Netflix stock, see how well it's done, and know I didn't go for it. In the same way, in a greater way, I don't want to get to heaven kicking myself for not investing in eternal causes that can change the world. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live my life in such a way that I regret not investing more into God's kingdom and what he's doing in people's life. The lost come home, or the dead are brought back to life. I am biased, but I firmly believe that now is the best time to buy in to the local church. I believe now is the best time to invest in what God's doing in Pensacola and through this church. Listen, your prayers, your resources, your service, your time, your energy has an opportunity to return an incredible EROI, an eternal return on investment. This year, we've given more to local missions than we've ever given before. This year, we've given more to Bible translations for languages of unreached people groups than we've ever done before. We've given more to disaster relief than we ever have before. This year to date, 345 salvations. 188 baptisms. And on a weekly basis, 300 children are ministered here weekly. Recently, I talked with someone, praise God. Recently, I talked with an older gentleman who's new to our church, and I asked him why this church. He said, listen, I have adult children that do not go to church anywhere, and I'm praying for them. But I also had this revelation that if they ever did want to come to church, I wanted them to have a church that they could enjoy. That if I could get my grown children to come to church, I believe that this is a church that they would actually enjoy attending. He wasn't here for himself. He was here for the next generation. What a mindset we could all have, investing not just for us, not just for our families, but for the next generation. 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gift. You have a gift. You have to figure it out. And if you don't know that gift, go to Next Steps after this service to learn more about what God has given you. Because you need to be faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. It's stewardship. It's partnership. What are you doing with what God has given you? I'm just telling you, for me, when it's all said and done, I want to hear, well done. I want to go into heaven not kicking and screaming, oh, I could have done more. Oh, I should have done more. I want to hear, well done. Listen, last one. Scarcity says, I don't have enough. Scarcity says, what mine is mine. Scarcity mindset says, I need 100% to get from here to there. So, scarcity mindset says, my goodness, I need 100% of what I have to get to where I'm going. It's just simply not enough to get here. It's barely enough. I wish I had more time. I wish I could give more. I got to get from here to there. And look at it. It requires 100% of what I have to get there. That's what the scarcity mindset says. And this seems so logical for so many people. All that I have, I'm in need. I have nothing to give. I have nothing to offer because I want to get from here to there. But then there's the blessing mindset that says, I'm putting God first. I'm putting him first in my life, in every area of my life. But understand, by doing that, I'm also trying to get from here to there, but there's a gap. And what the blessing mindset says is, I will trust God to get me from here to there. And when I understand that God is my provider, he's my Jehovah Jireh, he knows my needs, he goes before me, there's nothing that surprises him. I don't know how. I can't explain it. I just know when I put God first in my life, I'm always able to get from here to there. That God meets my needs in oftentimes supernatural ways. The joy I've experienced, the peace I've experienced, the love I've experienced, it's when I trust God. I get from here to there. Now here's the deal. Each of these think the other person's crazy. This person's thinking, my goodness, why would I put myself at risk like that? Why would I? Listen, I got everything I have to get here to there. This person's thinking, you're crazy. Oh, you're missing out on the blessing of God. You're missing out on peace that transcends understanding. You're missing out on the blessings that are all around us. But here's what I know. I trust God. Not only can he get me from here to there, he can get me beyond everybody. Come on. And then you realize it was never about here in the first place with God. He always had more in store for you. He always had greater things planned for you. He always has a legacy in mind. He's always thinking from an eternal perspective. It's not just here to there, it's beyond. Whatever you keep is all that you have. But when you give, God will multiply. And it just changes our perspective in such a great way. Lord, there's more that you have in store for us. I don't understand it. At times, I can't see it. But Proverbs says it this way: you honor the Lord. You put him first. You trust in him with everything you have. And he'll fill you to overflowing. It's not just from here to there. It's from here until God calls us home. And then we can't take anything with us. So who did we invest in along the way? John Bonnell says it this way: if one first gives himself to the Lord, all other giving is easy. When you've seen the blessings of God, when you've kept a good count of how God has showed up time and time again, and you put your trust and faith in him, everything else just seems easy. So I guess the question for us is, have you put God first? Is he the Lord of your life? If you come in today worried about the future, fearful of the unknown, scrambling for control, I'm telling you, there's a better way. It's to put God first. And what a journey, what an adventure it will be. Let me pray for you.